Walking on the moon.
I don't know if you've seen For All Mankind, but unbelievable. That's all I'm saying. I get
We'll start with all the pitches, and then
Gilmore
it
Gang is
worked
live
well
now. What do
last
we got?
time.
Gilmore Gang is live now.
Okay.
Okay, I see Facebook.
What about LinkedIn?
Not yet.
Oh, let me look.
I don't see it yet.
I don't have a.
Now it is.
We're live on X.
Okay. All right, there we go. All righty.
All
So
right.
sounds like we're
All right, so Tina, do the lead in,
we're
please.
we're live on Facebook. We're live on X, Twitter, YouTube, and
LinkedIn.
All right. Places everybody. We're about to start the Gilmore Gang.
Interesting. X has got a new chat feature where you can open it
Can we,
and have
everybody please,
Here we go.
please be quiet.
Mute is off, and we're gonna go in 3, 2, 1, and
Hi, Steve Gillmor here. This is the Gillmor Gang for a late March in April 97.
oh, that's not it.
It's good enough for me. So joining us, I'll start with Keith because he just won't shut up. Welcome from Palo Alto, California, is Keith Tier.
true. My wife doesn't let me speak all day. So when I get on the gang, it's like freedom and liberation time. So I can't stop blabbing.
I have the same problem.
Oh no.
That second voice is from the state of London, and that's Keith. No,
Oh.
it's Frank Radis.
Yeah, and actually, my lovely wife lets me talk all day long. So there you go.
Yeah, and we'll clean that up in post.
You mean put somebody else's voice over it, going my life?
Yeah, Val Kilmer and the Hollywood Five.
Oh my God, AI in Hollywood, crazy.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, let's not do any more introductions then. So I don't know who that guy is in the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, what's his where?
From the state of confusion is
He loves it. No, he doesn't. He
No,
hates it.
yeah,
He hates it.
is co-star of the fabulous Players Product Network. Is that what it's called?
Mhm.
Okay, well, will you fill in the blank?
Players Productions Network.
Fantastic. And that's Brent Leary. Welcome, Brent.
I feel very welcome.
More.
So this is a rare Saturday appearance of the gang, owing to the fact that there's no football available anywhere worldwide. Yeah,
Is
I
that
know.
why?
Well,
Is that why we're on?
Maybe American football.
I'm sorry.
There's no other football.
I think that is what he was referring to, Frank.
Yeah. Come on,
Steve
come
only
on
has
over here
one
and say
meaning of the
that.
word
Yeah.
football.
Come on over here and say that.
Nah.
Yeah, come on over here.
I
I got an extra bedroom. You can stay with me.
Who's that?
Anyone on this call.
Okay, very good.
Okay. There you go.
To my right is the producer, director, and executive producer. You got about 50 titles, but it all adds up.
Love of your life.
Yeah, that one.
Oh yeah, okay.
See how I did that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. And that's Tina Chase Gilmore.
Well, if I could get myself on screen, I could do it.
We see you.
Hi, Tina Gilmore here. Excited to see everybody again, and hi on this lovely, lovely, rare Gilmore Saturday,
It's a beautiful Saturday here in Atlanta.
and happy No King's Day.
You know,
that's right.
that is the worst branding. I can, really, it needs to be just one thing and very clear. No Trump. I'm just saying.
Well, I
It would,
totally agree with you. I think it's bogus. I don't believe any of the numbers, and it's
Neither
just
does Trump.
it's another Democratic Party. We are
hoax to hoax.
morally right, and so everybody else can.
Well, it needs to happen in some form, whatever it's called.
What you mean? This is hope of the future, just because?
Look, there's a few things that we could still do here in America and protest. At least at this point, we can still do it. So let's do it.
Yeah, protest and live in the airports because you can't get out of them.
There's
and
that
you're not
optimism.
and you're not going to get a vote from the House of Representatives that will accurately reflect the sentiment of the American people.
Well, that's because there is no sentiment in the House of Representatives.
Well,
They're all basically trying to stay elected.
The interesting thing is the Democrats act as if the majority is on their side, but their popularity is even lower than Trump's.
But that number is completely bogus as well.
Well, I agree they're all bogus, but still.
No. That specific number that the Democrats are more unpopular than the Republicans.
Yeah.
There's nobody more unpopular than the Republicans.
Yeah, and who made that number? Where did that number come from? Is that Pew or is that
it's from the Death of Democracy pit.
I think Sam Altman might be more unpopular than Republicans.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you're the guy that keeps loving on him. So, Keith, how's that going? That we're going to keep borrowing until we die?
Well, then let's be clear, they're not borrowing.
They're not borrowing?
No.
They're just straight out stealing.
They're selling equity. And they're doing joint ventures with PE funds on data centers, promising the PE funds 17.5% return. So everything they're doing is funded. There's no borrowing. Oracle, on the other hand, are borrowing.
Yeah, they're borrowing. But
how's that going, Brent?
Well, I mean, if you look at their stock price versus like what's actually happening in their business, you would think they were like about to go out of business, but they are not. I mean, they have one of the most well-rounded breadth and depth of a platform and an ecosystem as any company out there.
But so why did? Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was going to ask, why is it that a company like Meta all of a sudden shuts down free Grok and forces us to pay for it? That's free a way
Grok. Grok is XAI.
I mean, X. Why would they do that? They shut it down, the free Grok, and now they're asking us to pay for it, which is really a shame because it was such a great app to have free. And if you wanted more, you paid for it. But it seems like that's how they're going to fund.
So you were using this, Frank, for some reason?
I was using it for everything.
Are you sure it's paid for?
I tried to use it like for the last couple of days, and every time I get started on it, it sends me to a pay page, which it hadn't done before. And
do you pay for Twitter?
No.
Yeah, I think I'm invisible to it because I pay for Twitter, so I probably get it for free because of that. And I didn't realize they started charging for it. To me, that's weird because it's kind of against it.
Well, there seems to be a trend now of dumping generative AI because it's bullshit.
Well, I don't know if that's why.
Well, I mean, OpenAI dropped Sora, correct?
Yeah, they integrated it into ChatGPT. They dropped the standalone Sora.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm using ChatGPT now, and it's perfectly fine. It's a little bit weirder that you start asking it to do things, and it stops and says we can't do that because there's issues with the imagery that you're asking for, which I find interesting because Grok didn't do that. So maybe they're just getting more concerned about not breaking rules.
But Steve, it is true that OpenAI's market share of consumer has dropped from 100% down to about 70%. But during that period, consumer AI has grown about 10 times. So they're 70% of something 10 times bigger.
Yeah.
And the catcher upper is Gemini.
Yes, they're doing great. Gemini,
Yeah.
every time I use them, something new is like comes up and I was like, wow, this is really good.
Does
So,
anybody know anyone that's not using AI now? I don't.
that's a great question.
Yeah, I'm not using it.
You use
There you go.
Gemini. You use
I
Gemini.
like Gemini, but I don't use it
Oh,
because I've tried it as I do with the acid test for all AI, and it doesn't work.
Well, it doesn't work the way you want it to work.
be
Exactly.
careful. Be very, very
Exactly.
careful.
Hey,
I was
but
very cautious about
I'm going to
it.
go out and sit in the yard out there and wait until the water rushes over me and then pay them for it.
Oh, gee.
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it is ridiculous. And it's given the Democrats something to hide uh, behind.
What?
Well, you
What?
mean the Bernie Grant and AOC stuff this week?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't followed that.
So
I
they
think
both Bernie Grant for some weeks now has
who's
been
Bernie
arguing.
Grant? That's like a
Yeah.
Sorry, Bernie Sanders. Bernie Grant
but-
is a black British equivalent of Bernie Sanders, and so
I
I
thought it
always
was Lou Grant's son.
yeah. I
Bernie
thought it
Grant
was-
used to be the mayor of Tottenham back in the day of Ken Livingstone and the Greater London Council.
I see
Is that one
Steve's
of those
face.
little potatoes?
Steve's face is like going, huh?
Yeah.
No,
Anyway,
I'm trying to go.
Bernie Sanders for several weeks has been campaigning for a moratorium on new data centers on the argument that the electricity is going to be put on to the residents, which isn't true. And this week, AOC joined him and they made a joint declaration of the need for a moratorium on data centers.
Well,
Well, that'll use up all that expensive petroleum that's coming into the United States now, won't it?
what are you trying to say, Frank?
What generates electricity?
Wind?
Windmills? We don't like windmills. It kills birds.
No, we don't.
It'll give
We
you
do
cancer.
like-
We hate windmills. over here.
Just kidding.
No, we are
Windmills.
not hating
Windmills.
windmills.
They're not windmills.
For
They're
those
not
of you who
wind-
don't know, Gillmor Gang is powered by wind.
No,
Lots of hot air.
That's true.
Lots of hot air.
That's very true.
On How Time Flies, the David Osman Firesign Theater show that I directed, or I did something. There was a product called Poupane. You can read between the lines.
I'd rather not.
Don't need to.
No, it was
It's
pretty
visible.
overt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's as good. It works since time immemorial.
Ba-ding. And do you get credits for that?
I do, yeah, from you.
Have you been hearing this on the television?
No, but I'll tell you
People
something.
talking about, let me ask the question first.
Ask the question.
Okay, go ahead. Now you can ignore me.
No, ask the question.
No, thanks.
So I've been listening to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on Audible again, and it just feels so fire signy. I can't. It's just crazy. It just feels so.
Isn't
like
it
that.
the other way around? It didn't.
Yeah, it would be the other way around if I were like listening to Firesign all over again. I wonder if Firesign is on Audible. I actually haven't looked. It probably is somewhere.
Well,
That
you'd
would
have
be
to have
fun.
a book. The books are about fire sign for the most part. There was the New York Times review of books, published a review of Jeremy Braddock's book on the fire sign.
You don't need a book, by the way, on Audible. They have these wonderful things called Audible Originals, which are not based on books, and they're with full casts, and they're pretty amazing.
I
They're
think you're
comedies
just.
and dramas. And,
I think you're just trying to justify the dearth of anything interesting in science fiction in 50.
no, I listen to an awful lot of sort of SAS stuff, and
What is SIS stuff?
I'm sorry, it's an SBS. Listen to a lot of SBS stuff. You know what that is, Keith.
What is that? No, I don't.
It's the Strategic Air Services. It's the British version of the Delta Force or the SEALs. Or the SEALs are more SBS. Delta Force would be SAS. Don't get me
Does
started on that.
anybody other than
You
Frank
expect me
know
to
what
know?
we're
Like you expect
I
me
know,
to
I know,
know
I
that.
know.
He knows.
My dad worked for the Secret Service, so I was house trained on
and
Morse
how
code
secret is it that you are broadcasting worldwide?
That would be the SIS, by the way.
The Secret Service, he said,
it's
Yeah.
one branch.
publishing it.
It's one branch.
Is it legal to talk about them?
Oh yeah, yeah. In Britain, the offices of MI5 and MI6 are on the Thames, and everyone knows it's their offices, and everyone knows who the director is.
Heck, you could find them on the Google Maps.
Well, that's a good show to, what was it called? Slow Horses?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent
Wow
show.
house.
Any other good shows?
Yes. There's a show that's been on called Sugar. I don't know if you've heard of it or seen it, but it's really good. And it's
Oh,
second
that's the
season.
one where he's I'm not going to say it.
No, don't
That
say
one,
it.
right?
That one, yes.
Okay.
And its second season starts next month, so I'm looking forward to that. There's a really good show, yet another one from the guy who did Yellowstone, called The Madison, and there's then
Yeah,
the
we saw the
Marshals.
first episode. That was good.
It's good, and then there's the Marshals, which is more from the sort of the last season of the newest version of Yellowstone.
It's the kids'
It's
sequel.
the son, right? And it's his sequel. It's really good.
Ooh.
And honestly, probably the movie of the year. If you haven't seen Project Hail Mary yet, go out and see it. It's absolutely worth it, and it's worth seeing on IMAX and 70 millimeter. It's crazy good.
We also started the Peaky Blinders movie.
Yeah, that's very good.
Seems real good.
Haven't seen that yet, but I was on the tube today, and there was a family, and all the kids had Peaky hats. They all looked like little Peaky Blinders, and
Wow.
I said to the mom, I said, "Oh, look, you've got a bunch of Peaky Blinders there," and the kid goes, "Huh?" They were Americans. They didn't know what the hell I was talking about. They just liked the hats.
Okay, so Keith, can you give us a summary of the anthropod and the race for losing in AI?
God,
Well,
and why did
yeah.
the American military drop it?
It's interesting because the noise around it is very misdirecting. The noise around it's all around this political fight around the Department of War and Anthropic and the court case that happened this week. But if you look underneath the noise, Anthropic is thriving. It's releasing pretty much daily new features and new functionality in its desktop app, especially on the Mac, and it's going to a place where autonomous AI agents become possible. That is to say, you give them tasks daily, weekly, whatever, and they just do it and report back to you what they've done. They do that based on learning skills and automations. And they've now built in this thing called Dispatch, which lets you remote control your computer from your iPhone or your Android phone. So it's kind of like what OpenClaw announced a few months ago, as in you've got this agent you can talk to the whole time, and it is on your computer, so it can do things. So they're really thriving, and apparently they grew revenue in February alone by several $billions. The rumors are between $5 and $6 billion in a
So
single month.
is this real revenue or circular revenue?
Well, interestingly, they account for revenue gross. So a big chunk of that's coming from Amazon, which they have to spend back with Amazon. So actually, there is a fakeness to it, whereas OpenAI does not treat Microsoft revenue as real revenue. So there is a difference.
Well, isn't that because they're competing with each other?
Yeah, but they have very different revenue recognition, which as they move to go public, that's going to not be possible. They're going to have to do it the same way. So Anthropic probably really made 1 billion of revenue, not five in a month, if you look at it properly. But it's still good. I mean, they're really thriving, and the tech is I'd say it's well ahead now of OpenAI on user interface level and what you can do with it. OpenClaw is roughly equal to it, which of course is owned by OpenAI, but not integrated. At the same time, both of them, since the last releases of their models, the capability of the models has gone way up, way up. So more people are using them for more variety of things. For example, I built an Apple TV app of my That Was the Week podcast in a weekend. It's a full-on Apple TV app with a full archive that's now fully automated. It includes my voice reading the editorial if you can be bothered to or bear to listen to my voice reading the editorial. It includes transcripts, it includes the video, it includes the audio podcast, the featured image, all of it vibe coded. In that case, with Anthropic.
And who do you pay for access to that information?
I well, it's my content, so I don't pay anyone.
So it's just out there. You just take your uh, recorder out and stick it up in the air, and all the information
Well,
comes
no,
in.
well, so no, my full workflow is I pull together That Was the Week every day of the week. That's now fully automated for me. There's like 300 RSS feeds read by an agent that understands what it is I'm interested in and rejects most of the stuff, but selects the ones that fit That Was the Week editorially. It does a really good job of matching what I would pick. I do override it here and there, but mostly not.
So
Then on a,
where do these RSS feeds come from?
Where's
I've
it
built
live?
them up over the years. It's an OPML file that I exported from Feedly a long time ago. OPML is a way to build a big RSS list. So I've built that up over many years, and I exported it from Feedly and gave it to the agent, and it now reads the RSS feeds, not me, and it selects the articles. By a Friday, I've typically got somewhere between 40 and 60 articles that it's selected, and I want to get it down to 30. So I've trained another agent to remove stuff that is mainly newsy and not substantial. Then I have a third agent that writes an editorial, which is always terrible, and I always rewrite it. It's not very good at that yet. Then I tell it, go and get images and make sure the summaries of the articles are good. That's another agent. By then, I've got a finished newsletter, except the editorial, by Friday. I send it to Andrew Keene. We record our show on a Saturday. We recorded it this morning. Some days it doesn't matter when we record it, that changes. And then I, I then upload it all to Substack, publish it. I then have another agent that reads the Substack and creates clips from the video with subtitles.
How
With
does it
those,
read? How does it read the Substack?
it reads it looks at the video and the transcript and creates clips of the video from the transcript. And that's from my edited version of the video, which I do in Final Cut Pro. So it has a local copy of the video, and it has a transcript, and it uses a transcript to select segments that are interesting, and then it clips to the segments and puts subtitles in the clips. Then another agent creates a social media campaign for the whole week, which is 3 posts on X, 3 on LinkedIn, and 3 on YouTube. Then another agent archives that into the archive, which then gets read
Jeez,
by the
I'm
Apple
getting
TV app.
I'm getting tired.
Basically, it's a long workflow, but it does everything.
Mm.
Okay,
Do
it's
you
getting
do
there.
That's
you
the point, is that it's a long workflow and it does it all.
Yeah.
do
Go ahead,
you?
Brent.
I was just curious. Do you, or do you think you might ever get to the point where it's so automatic it feels like it's inhuman?
Well, no, because the bit I retain, just because it isn't good enough, and I don't think it'll ever be good enough, is the titles and the editorial. And also I override it on the content sometimes. But the title and the editorial are totally me. And I can't imagine it will ever be good enough to be better than me at that.
That's why I was just curious about because it feels like there are a lot of people now. What you did, that sounds great, but I think a lot of people are really trying to take themselves out of certain pieces to the puzzle. Maybe not so much because they think it's their efficient part, inefficiency, but they just don't like doing it.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you take certain things, just put it all to the agents, you start to have stuff that looks and sounds a lot like everybody else's.
That definitely will happen if I mean, to be honest, I think my main value add with the newsletter um,
The
is the
editorial.
curated articles. They are automated, and people who care about what's going on in the world I cover, I'm sure value the fact that I'm doing clippings and summaries and culling, from a much larger set of articles down to the. I think that's the main value add. My ego would like to think my editorial and my video are the main value add, but I think they're,
I think they are. It's
well, who knows? But I think they're tolerated more than the value. I don't know. Who knows how interesting one is to other people.
I think you
Um,
have a pretty good idea of that. One does.
Well, it sounds like you retain a certain amount of, like top level control over it, right? You oversee it. You're not letting it go out without, your final approval and your little tweaking and I don't know, Brent, with what it's doing for Keith, it may not be all that different than if he had hired someone, sat them on the desk and put them there and said, all day long, you read these things and then you figure out whether they're me or not and, create a list. uh, you know, um, I, I don't have, but I see Brent's point of view too. Like if it's not done with some detailing by the human,
yeah.
at least at the top, or maybe any point in there, but you can lose this feeling of, uniqueness or you, right?
Well, but Tina, you're totally right. Who gets disrupted is the tasks, the people who do the tasks.
Yeah. And that's
I
called
think
grunt work anyway.
creatives get empowered.
Hmm.
that was while you were doing that, going over that whole process. I was thinking about how the creatives in Hollywood are using AI to recreate everything from individuals to stories to sequences to plots to the only thing it seems to me that they aren't doing is driving the trucks and making the food, and yet it requires the creative input in order to get it started. So there's an awful lot of people who are concerned about AI in Hollywood, yet the reality is that even the AI output, if it is except for stealing someone's likeness, for example, the AI output is totally dependent on the creative's input.
Yep.
And that's sort of the only thing that could save it, and make it really work for Hollywood. Look, I found myself making I used to have to hire an artist to create boards for a pitch. I don't have to do that anymore. I can create boards using AI and actually have video in the boards that depicts my thought process. But it's my thought process. It's the AI's execution of my thought process, which I have no problem with, and not apparently, and Hollywood doesn't either.
Right. Well, sure. I mean, the term grunt work is what we're trying to use AI to replace. The stuff that people really are not that crazy about doing in the first place. That you
Yeah,
have.
except for the grunts that don't have any other abilities.
Mm,
I
okay.
mean, there is a whole argument about that too. I get that argument, and it makes you feel bad to even say that. We look at, I don't know about you, but I think we were all grunts at one point, and without having been a grunt, we wouldn't have gotten to the next level.
I
That's true.
just
So
sent
let's
Brent the.
talk about that for a second. So what does that mean? What does that mean about, hierarchy and growth in your career development? Where do you start? Are college kids getting those entry level grunt jobs?
What
No,
job?
somebody has to be at the very not the tip of the spear, but the bottom of the pyramid,
Mhm.
inserting these ideas. And what I see is the people who would have been getting their fingernails dirty, so to speak, are figuring out another way to get their fingernails dirty with AI.
Or
It's not that they're completely losing out. It's that they're learning a new skill.
so
I
the
hope
so
that
the
that's what it
entry
is.
are the entry level people, the grunt people, are they having to become AI experts? Right.
I think so, and it's interesting. The SCAD, which I'm really sort of phasing out of
Mm,
right now. SCAD has a whole curriculum teaching people how to use AI in the film business,
mm,
and so if they're teaching it in the schools, that's where that shows that there's a place for it.
Well,
mhm.
judging from the happy hour that I used to attend, uh, pretty much everybody who's in an educational institution, and the pun intended, is basically trying to figure out how to be able to institutionalize the learnings of the new technology so that they can uh, teach it.
Mm.
Pretty soon, the teachers will be the AI.
I think what's going to happen is a bit different. I think the young people take an average YouTube channel. The successful YouTube channels today are quite big employers. They have huge studios and between 50 and 100 employees. And I think that ends up being one person,
Hmm.
whoever the creative is, being able to do almost everything themselves. Maybe it's not one person, maybe it's five, but it isn't going to be 50 to 100 anymore. And that becomes possible. And the dilution that normally happens when the creative has to be filtered through a team won't happen. So actually, the creative will be happier because the direct ability to get the output they want that's in their head will not be mediated through third parties who interpret it. And
Well,
so I
what
think
that does, that kills the development process. There's a lot. I've been talking to a bunch of people, pretty old school, who say that the biggest problem that they have with AI is that it eliminates development. Development takes a long time when you're talking about creating a television program or a streaming program or a movie. So you don't just say, let's do this story and turn it into something, a thing. You don't do that in sort of the old school way, but with AI, you can do that. And and with those large studios, that with the advent of micro programming, you might have 10 or 15 different storylines going at the same time. You wouldn't have one person doing all of them. You'd have one person doing one of them, which may be 10 or 15 or 20 or 30 episodes of micro programming, micro dramas, micro comedies, whatever. And you might have 10 or 20 of those micro dramas and that would give you 10 or 20 jobs, or
So
20 or 40 jobs.
I just texted Brent a video I made. This video is crap, by the way, but it's totally what was in my head. And I don't know if he can show it because he's got an A10 mini. Maybe he can show it. But this is exactly what was in my head. And there's no way I could have described this to someone else and gotten even close to what was in my head.
Oh.
Did you do it text to video, or did you do it voice to video?
It is. Pleasure to meet you.
Hold on, I'll see if I
This
can
is
get this.
cool. I'm a huge fan. I appreciate that.
Let me turn it
This is like a 30-second video, by the way, or 10 seconds. It's very short.
Did you use my voice in there?
I was trying to depict Dario Amadei, the Anthropic CEO, as a teenager, and Sam Altman as an aging adult, and depict the difference between their weeks.
Oh,
But I was asking, did you do it voice to video or text to
I
video?
started with I started with an image, asking for an image, and I did that on Grok. Then I wanted to make the image a video, and I did that on Gemini, because actually the different tools are totally different at what they're good at. And Gemini will not render things that look like people, but Grok will. So yeah, there you go.
Want me
There
to
you
play
go.
it?
Let's see it. Yeah.
Here
play
it go.
Wow, is that really you?
It is. Pleasure to meet you.
This is so cool. I'm a huge fan.
I appreciate that. Keep up the good work.
This is the best day ever. I can see that. Keep going. Whoa, I can't stop.
You're full of energy today.
Yes.
Wow.
So that joke was what was in my head.
What was the joke?
The joke that
What's the joke?
okay, I'm not going to explain my joke.
You know, I'll
Jokes-
tell you what, Artie Choke, he's just a joke.
But there's a huge satisfaction for me in that video that no one else probably shares, because it was the joke that was in my head.
I think it works
What,
regardless.
what did you use for that?
I used Grok for the initial image. So the final image was in Grok. And I said to Gemini, animate this with them coming on stage left and right, with Amadei as a giddy teenager and Altman as a statesman-like older person, and have them meet in the middle to depict the difference.
So again, did you do that with text?
Gemini with text.
No, your text.
All
but
text,
you could have
100%
you could have used voice to text and then text to video.
No, it was text to video, text
Okay.
to image, then image and text to video.
Right.
Now
I
you
love
could,
that.
you could have
See,
done
I think
all of
that's
that in Gemini, but you used a couple of things.
I used the video capability in Gemini called Nano Banana, I think it's called. I can't remember what
I
it's
thought
called
that was
now.
the image creation.
Yeah, not Nano Banana, the other one, VO.
Yeah, that's okay. So you used the.
I
okay.
used the video thing in Gemini, but I came to it with an image I'd already made in Grok.
Okay, that's where.
I think Grok does a great job creating images.
Yeah.
You know, check Gemini out too, because it's really stepped up its image game.
Okay.
I've been posting clips from our event, and I basically all I have to do now is, let's say it's a 20-minute video of somebody speaking. I'll upload the full video, and I'll ask for a transcript and an analysis. And because I have my Gemini linked in to all the other Google apps I use, it gets the context not just from the individual video, but from all of what I've put into Google, basically. So it uses that level of context to give even a more richer, whatever my request is, based on all that additional metadata it has from going through all my Google Mail and searches and all that. And then it says, do you want us to create an image from this discussion? And I was like, sure. And the image is created. I think I had to go back and forth just a little bit. But these things are great to the point where people are like, where did you get that image from my presentation?
Yeah.
I was like, it's actually from you because I just recorded your presentation, uploaded it. It uses your words basically to visualize it. And it wasn't doing that like 3 weeks ago. Not like I'm seeing now.
Right. but that makes it fun, you see. I mean, I wake up in the mornings excited to get to my computer now because the day is going to unfold in unexpected ways, and you have all these tools that if you can think about something, you can then work on it. It is amazing.
It is.
So how much a month are you spending?
I spend 200 a month on Anthropic. And I give it a budget to go over by 10% on using API calls. So 220 would be the max. And then I spend the same on OpenAI. I don't spend anything on Grok because I get it free, but I do pay for YouTube, whatever that price is, $20 a month, I think. Sorry, not YouTube, Twitter.
Oh, okay. You have a premium.
I have a premium Twitter, whatever that is. And then Gemini, I'm a workspace owner, so I pay them for, docs and slides and all of that. And Gemini comes bundled in that. So I don't pay anything extra for Gemini.
Comes bundled in what?
Google Workspace.
And how much is Google Workspace?
It depends how many users. It's like what you pay them for Gmail. So if you're already paying for Gmail, you've already got one.
But paying for storage or
Everything. I know you've
enterprise
got
license, basically.
Yeah. So I know you've got
How
two
much
email
is
addresses.
that?
Well, so let me explain it so you know. You've got two Google email addresses. I won't say what they are, but one of them is not a .gmail.com. It's what you've chosen the domain name yourself. You're paying for that. That's Google Workspace. So you're already paying for Google Workspace. Inside that login, you'll have access to Gemini.
So you
Well,
don't
I'm
have
not
to.
paying for it,
We're not
actually.
paying for it. That's
Somebody
one of our
is.
family members set all of the stuff
Yeah,
up. So.
Right.
So can you give me a number per month of how much your
So
company is spending?
mine is tier.com, and I think I've got my
No, I'm
three
talking
kids and my
about
wife.
overall. You've
I-
mentioned a whole bunch.
Overall, I'm probably paying, I don't know, somewhere between $600 and $1,000 a month.
Wow.
But by the way, a lot of that is work related, so I don't pay it personally
Right. So your company is paying for it.
for a lot of it, not for the personal stuff, but
What percentage would you say
I'd
is,
say about 600 a month is work related.
and total is 6 to 1,000. So 60% of it is being paid for by work?
Maybe a bit more, maybe 80%.
Either way, you're paying a total around 1,000
Yeah.
to do everything you're doing.
Yeah.
God, that's so much more than I paid for cable TV back in the 80s.
But think of how much you would have to pay to produce any of this stuff.
Oh God, I know. I believe me, that's
Yeah, but
one
that's
of
like
the other.
saying, think how much it would cost to do something that I would never do because it's expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's part of the charm of this. You're able to actually do some of those things you couldn't have done in the past if you're really.
All right. So why did OpenAI dump Sora if that's all valuable?
It wasn't generating usage as a standalone product. People were doing images and videos inside ChatGPT, but they were not doing it at Sora.com. So they got rid of Sora.com and the Sora app, and then they're just now letting you do it inside ChatGPT.
So, what's your take on why the Department of Defense went after Anthropic?
Department of War.
I won't say that. I won't
I
say
just
that.
say defense.
To me, it's very straightforward. And all the noise around it and the politicization of it is detracting from just the simple truth, which is when the Department of War buys a product, it's in order to pursue war. And Anthropic didn't want certain uses and tried to, in the contract, stipulate. And the Department of War said, no, we can't do that because we have to have control over what we choose to do, not you.
Yeah.
And that is appropriate, I think. I
Yeah,
think this
yeah,
is the
it
one
is.
case where you got to say the administration is on the right side of the argument. Now, having said that, I totally agree with.
Oh, I think they're on the wrong side of the argument
No,
because of what they
I think
want.
they're on the right side. I mean, just logically, when did a government ever bow down to a vendor? But on the other hand, I agree with Amadai's points. If he doesn't want his stuff to be used, and he's got the right to not want it, and morally, I think he's probably right as well. Well, then he shouldn't try and sell to the government. He should sell to people who will, don't have those rules.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have a question. Uh, is Congress really the only body that can declare war?
The president obviously can do it.
Well, I mean, doesn't he have to
really.
ask for a declaration of war?
Well, he
Yeah,
just doesn't call it war.
There are a lot of things that he has to do that he doesn't do.
Yeah,
So why does the Secretary of War report to the president if it's the government? I mean, the Congress that has the ability to declare war.
it's the difference between the executive and the legislature. So the legislature has the right to declare war, but the executive is the operational part of government. So all the departments report
So he can execute
through the executive
on
branch.
their declaration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exec part of that word.
Yeah, as a lot of these things are, there is absolutely no law of any kind, and nobody is following it anyway.
Well, it's it's kind of ridiculous that it seems that this topic right here that you're bringing up, Brett, comes down to semantics. Because, like, if you don't call it war, then you don't need the Congress to be involved. I mean, it seems like bullshit to me.
Yeah. It's an
It is
excursion.
bullshit.
It's an
It's total-
excursion.
It's bullshit, but historically, Tina, it's been the case forever. I mean, very few wars are actually declared.
Well, they don't. Isn't it usually on the executive branch when there's some kind of a urgency to show there's an urgency in which we don't have time to go through the regular channels? Isn't that what's really supposed to happen when it comes down to when a president kind of takes the mantle and sends troops in without the declaration of war being made?
Right, but they can in this instance right now,
They haven't done it.
prove any sort of urgency.
They haven't done.
Couldn't
They
do that.
don't even want to prove it, really.
Right. But they are, Trump doesn't, well, I can't, they don't want me to really say war, so I'm just gonna say blah blah blah.
And see that even doing that should be enough to say there must not be a real urgency if you're going to be as flippant as that around sending people's kids into harm's way because you don't want to say the word that you want to say.
No,
It's just so
he
ridiculous.
wants to do what
Okay, until people start dying.
he
Right?
wants to be king, and he's succeeding.
Well, I think that's right. And every other president's done the same thing.
At
No,
least
that's not
W,
true.
at
There have
least
been a lot
W,
of presidents that have
yeah.
not done
Yeah, at
this.
least
At
W
least W-
lied in
I
front
mean,
of the
on
Congress.
war.
he lied. At least he got people on board to say there is an urgency, even though the information turned out to be a big pile of shit, basically.
Yeah, look at the Iraq wars, exactly the
Yeah.
same story.
But at least those guys lied to us. They aren't even doing that. There's a certain level of hubris, or was it hubris, that goes into the guy who calls himself the Secretary of War and the guy he reports to. I've never seen any Secretary of War, regardless of what side of the aisle they sit in, sound like this stuff. This guy sounds like he's in a movie, like a Stanley Kubrick movie. He really
well,
sounds
yeah,
like something
Stanley
that comes
Kubrick.
out of. It sounds like Doctor Strangelove, the guy that was Sterling Hayden or whatever his name is. That's exactly who he sounds like.
Well, he is. That's who he is, right?
No,
I guess he
he's
is.
just he that's his favorite movie.
But I just asked Anthropic. The last time Congress approved military action was in 2001, ahead of the Iraq conflict. Since
Colin
then, there's
Powell.
been wars in Syria, Somalia, Yemen, Libya, Niger, and other places, none of which were approved by Congress.
Yeah. That one was when Colin Powell said there's UMDs. And here we have pictures of them, but they were
It's
never found.
UMD.
But the last formal declaration of war was 1942.
Well, that was part of Pearl Harbor, I'm sure.
Yeah. So that probably implies the Vietnam War was never declared, which
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
surprises me.
we called Vietnam a war.
Well, the Gulf of
Well-
Tonkin resolution was used as a pretext.
Korea wasn't called a war, it was called something else, right? It was called like a
Military action.
Military
something
action.
like that. Yeah, they never said the term war ever.
Yeah, this is not different what's going on here. This is what has been going on since time immemorial.
Okay, but
Memorial, time memorial.
just be, just because it's not different doesn't make it right.
No,
You know,
no,
even
it makes it
and
wrong.
even when America pulls out, which I actually think they will do before putting boots on the ground. I don't think that'll happen. And if they do, those boots are going to go to Kwarg Island and not to mainland Iran. That they will pull out and the war will continue. I can tell you the people there are terrorized, and they're being terrorized not by the U.S. and by Israel, but mostly by Israel.
So, Frank, you probably have more insight than anyone on this, but I would imagine that the anti-regime Iranians who were on the streets now are much more ambiguous about how they think about things.
Yeah, because the Iranian Guard still exists. They haven't been able to get rid of them. They're out
So
there.
let me
They're policing
constrain
the
this
streets.
discussion a little bit because for legal reasons, I don't think we should be talking about this.
Okay.
So what I would prefer to do is to try and reduce this to our individual perceptions of how successful this is going to be as an operation that's going to keep, the Democrats in power or the Republicans in power or what? Who's gonna be successful in the kind of stuff that we are seeing going on and then sort of translated
Yeah.
on the media? So I want to start
The
with
Democrats are
Frank.
The
Go ahead.
Democrats are going to win. Russia's going to win, and
What do you mean by Democrats are going to win?
because the war is going to fail horribly, it's going to make the Republicans and the president look even worse than they already look, and the Democrats will reap the benefits of that at the midterms, if there is a midterms, and in the next presidential election. Putin is going to win because Putin is supporting Iran. There's also word now that China may be coming in to support Iran. So our enemies are going to win in the world, and in America, the Democrats are going to win.
So
That's
you
my
know,
opinion.
we see when we watch the endless news, we see the assumptions right now this week that you call him Taco. What that implies is that he calls Frank, lovingly calls him Taco. And that's a representation of the idea that he's going to chicken out. That's right. So this conventional wisdom, and I don't mean to imply that that's not wisdom, it might be, is that this is going to vacillate for another couple of weeks, and then it's going to stop.
Feels like it, but it is somebody.
I
one of our-
would bet to the contrary. I don't think.
It's funny. One of our viewers, Deanne, has said, according to Mike Johnson, sending troops to Iran is not the same as putting boots on the ground. What?
Yeah, but again, the language that's being used. That's right. The language that's being used is designed by the media to sell toothpaste. Their toothpaste is the point of this discussion. It's not, nobody is, according to the pollsters, what we are all upset about is the cost of eggs.
And gas.
Right.
And how
And,
long it takes to go
and
through the airport.
And
right.
in your energy bill in your home. And
So
the
some
food at the
people,
grocery store.
so some people are,
Good.
Affordability, people.
yeah, some people are confused by the notion that this is somehow going to be good for Trump, that he's doing this because he's politically smart and it's going to be effective for the Republicans. Does anybody on this call think that that's the case?
No.
I think that's the case.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't.
I think that so far it's been the case. The biggest problem that Trump has is that he's not running for reelection. So he's not on the ballot. So the question then is, yeah, all the conspiracy theories aside,
Be politically smart when none of these and even the stock market's down. Like there used to be a couple of things we said about, well, when Trump's in office, at least the stock market's up.
Yeah.
At
But the
least
Dow.
it sucks.
You're right, Tina, but I think that might be short-term noise. I'm sure
It
Steve and I
kind
have
of always
different
is short. It always is short-term noise, at least
that's right.
historically.
Everything is noise. And this is, marketing is how you pick out the noise that you want to run on.
So I was going to say, Steve, you and I probably have very different paths to that conclusion.
No, I'm saying that we don't have different paths because yours is gated toward some place that is not what I'm thinking.
No, that's
I
what I
think
mean.
that short term,
Yeah.
Trump is doing a smart thing. Medium term is not clear, but the question is whether or not he's going to is he going to get Vance reelected, or is it going to be Mario Alonso?
It's gonna be Rubio. He's gonna throw Vance under the bus.
Man,
Who's
I
going
don't
to
think.
throw
I don't
Vance
think.
under the bus?
I don't think. Well, I don't want to get attracted to that point because there's a bigger point I want to make. It feels to me as if the winner is whoever represents deglobalization and the retreat of the US into a regional power where it has to use force again, which it hasn't had to do most of the past 100 years. Basically, the fact that the Middle East map of allies is being drawn against Iran and includes many Arab countries on the side of the US is a major geopolitical change. I mean, huge.
That's true.
And the fact that Europe is sidelined and has animosity towards America is the mirror image of Trump's lack of belief in NATO. They're redrawing the map of the world into a series of regional fiefdoms with power, having to be projected, with America as the one most prepared to project it.
Sounds like the Arab world.
And then you're getting the rise of nationalisms around that.
Okay, Brent, go ahead.
Yeah,
I want to hear some, other than this drive toward isms.
I just the whole thing around Europe having some kind of negative negativities towards the U.S. Why wouldn't they? Have you heard how this guy is talking about Europe? I mean, the NATO was never there. We'll never. I was just testing to see it. The only time NATO has actually been called in for anyone was 9/11, and they all came running to help support us. Now he's calling Canada the 51st state, and we're gonna take over Greenland, and all these other France. They haven't done anything for. Why in the world should they actually do anything but just sit back and stay away from this? Because, hey, if you are a partner, a real partner, you would have let us know that you're actually going to do this ahead of time, not us having to read about it in the paper. So he doesn't treat them like a real partner. So
Yeah.
why should they keep up the? I mean, look, even the guys in Ukraine, Zelensky, he's fighting for his life over there, and he's willing to help us.
Well, that you see, what you're describing, Brent, is exactly the same as what I'm describing, which is the collapse of what everyone calls the post-World War II order into regional um, groupings. Um, which is why Cuba and Mexico and Canada and Greenland get on the agenda because of they're close. And that's a very different world. The world that we love to be in. I think of myself as global before anything else is being taken away.
Who took it away?
It's been
It's
a long
us.
term.
It's
It's
us through this one person.
it's not just that. It's the rise of China. Is a catalyst for that. Not in a bad way.
Well,
Just the fact.
to me this is a lot like explaining why AI is important by showing you all the things you can do with it, but none of them are you willing to pay for. So, there was a report yesterday about that Zelensky is under pressure now because uh, the drones that they've succeeded in using to keep the country from being, overwhelmed, uh, are now at such a premium that the United States doesn't have enough of them to prosecute this uh, Middle East war.
And
So,
if we
I
were,
don't think I don't
and
think
if
the American people are going to be willing to pay for this war for another year. A. B. Don't you find it interesting that the Trump family has money involved in the creation of drones that are being sold to the American military? And when people start hearing stories like that, and they start looking at their grocery bills, and they start looking at their gasoline bills, and they start seeing what's going on in parts of the country that actually affect them.
and yet they can't go marshal enough energy to go and vote.
We don't
Uh,
know that yet. We'll know
oh,
that in this.
we will know that.
We have
We
known that in the past, but I think we're going to see a. I think you got a blue tsunami coming.
so.
where's Dennis
Dennis,
when
where
you?
are you when we
Ah,
need
where
you?
is Dennis?
Hey,
Yeah,
listen,
thank you.
what's the chance though that Trump's ideas amount to something that's overwhelmingly successful just before or any time before the November elections? Like an overwhelming success that people go, huh, that actually worked out pretty well.
Well, if the stock
I don't
market
think
came
so.
back,
I don't think
Yeah.
he'll be reelected, whether he's running or not.
You think that it's that it just based on no, because I think this
That'll help.
this
If we're
war,
still paying $6 a gallon for gas, no,
If
yeah,
change
people
won't work.
if
exactly.
people can get some of these subsidies, farmers can, so can civilians.
Yeah. What about healthcare? They're going to get the
That's in
Obamacare
2 weeks.
subsidies back.
2 weeks. 2 weeks, Frank. We're
I
gonna
think
have a
so.
good plan.
Yeah. Everything's 2 weeks, right?
It's always 2 weeks.
I don't think there's anything Trump can do between now and November for the midterms not to be really bad for the Republicans.
Right.
But
Do we think?
that said, I don't think the midterms are the key thing.
Well,
I think what will happen is the Democrats may get control of one or both houses, and for the next 2 years will become the bad guys.
did you see what
Seems
the
like we're already on
sort
our
of
way for that.
underwhelming CPAC audiences? I thought
Yeah, well, but
I
that's
thought
because
that was
nobody showed up. It's just Steve Bannon and a bunch of
Love
Yeah,
Archie.
which is I thought interesting and telling. And the other thing is, do we think that I believe he will be impeached. I don't think he will be convicted by
I
the Senate, but I
you
believe
just put the money that you want to lose on the table, and I'll scoop it right up, please.
Frank, are you saying because the midterms will be that bad, where both houses will go to the Democrats, then there'll be impeachment going on? Is
no. All he needs is the House to be Democratic led for the impeachment to happen. He doesn't.
Yeah,
He
but
needs the
to
Senate
Yeah,
be
but
in
we've
order
already
to
seen
be
that movie,
convicted.
and
Yes, it'll
there's
be the
no
same
And
movie.
then
It'll
so
there's
be the
no
same.
finale in that
Yeah,
movie
it'll be. That's
because
what I'm saying.
nobody's going to vote anybody out.
It
So
Yeah.
will
it's
be the
just
same
bullshit.
movie. Yeah,
here's
Frank,
No, it's
Frank,
bullshit.
unless
isn't the point is that, so if he got impeached, so what? I
Well,
well,
we
mean,
know he
because
ain't
he's
it,
going to
already been
jail.
impeached and he was reelected.
He was indicted for 34 counts of felonies, and so what?
what about how
well,
about
look,
those Epstein files?
Frank, to be more positive, I think we're all in violent agreement here that even if he was impeached, he wouldn't be convicted
Yeah.
because the bar's very high for that.
And therefore he won't be
Yeah,
impeached.
right.
Yeah.
So the more interesting thing is, to me at least, is what would the Democrats have to do to be popular? And it isn't putting a moratorium on data centers. There has to be something that makes them popular.
So in other words, the moratorium on data centers is more important than the death of democracy.
Well, how about just get any kind of standout leader in the Democratic Party? Like, who? Come on, let's do it. There's no one.
I saw the who's that Jewish senator or rep who was posited last time?
Shapiro?
Yeah, I saw him interviewed recently, and
Oh, the governor of Pennsylvania?
he's way too of a politician with a capital P. He's not going to be votable. And I don't think Gavin Newsom's votable. I think he's too slick as well to appeal
What
to
about
normal
Pritzker?
people. Say again.
Pritzker. I don't know. I kind of agree with you there. I'm still waiting for somebody to rise to the top of that scumbag. I mean, this scum rises to the top.
That's
Okay,
scumbag.
all right. So I will not call a poll on this because I think we all are wrong
On what?
on who's
Oh,
going to
my
be the
God.
Democratic nominee.
Oh, I
I
don't
think
know.
it's going to be Newsom.
I think it is too. Right? If it were right now, it would be.
It is right
Well,
now.
One.
It is
3
right now.
years out.
It's
I
not.
think Newsom is like a male version of Hillary. I think he loses.
No, Hillary is unique.
Yeah, I don't think
That
anybody's like
deplorable
her.
comment. Nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They hated her with a passion. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna hate Newsom as much as they hated
No,
her.
no.
Well, yeah, but
It's
he's
not
no.
about the presidential nomination anyway. It's about whether or not they can take over the Senate, which I don't think they can.
He's look. What did Clinton and Obama have in common was somehow a sense of authenticity, especially Obama. But I think even Clinton had that.
They know how to
And
talk to people in a way that people connected with them.
yeah,
They knew how to talk.
I'm not seeing any Democrat currently have that.
But they were in the right place at the right time, and there will be
Yes, they were.
somebody in the right place at the right time. And the question is it going to be Mario Lanza or is it going to be a Democrat?
Lanza.
Who's Mario Lanza?
Yeah, he's a
He's
singer,
a singer.
but he's a little
Oh.
older than you are. So, in at one of the
Marco Rubio.
at one of the Democratic debates back when Obama was running, he was walking across the courtyard. He was alone, carrying books, and I yelled to him and I said, "Can I come and talk to you?" And he was absolutely genuine and said, "Sure, come over and talk to me," which I did. And it was an incredible moment for me because I'd spoken to a lot of people by then in my career.
How long
And
ago was this?
I guess it must have been, I don't know, 18 years ago, 19,
So he was
20 years ago.
a senator at
Yes.
that point? Okay.
Yeah. And he was just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just felt like there was an aura coming out of this guy, and I was not surprised what happened after that. And honestly, it didn't surprise me. I have not met any of these guys that might be running now, so I can't tell you if they have an aura. But I'm
Well,
telling you,
I met Newsom, and
does he have an aura?
no, but no, I
Oh,
don't think any of them have an aura.
well, I
I mean,
haven't seen that.
I reject the premise, but I understand what you're saying.
It's that presence. It's that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, and I don't know.
I
I think Clinton had
Obama,
that.
if
I
you
met
watched
Clinton.
Obama, if you watched Obama on the cameras that weren't covering the crowd, and just watched, they always had in the primaries, they always had a single camera that was watching Obama and the people just behind him, which were all of the staff who were basically processing all the people that were trying to get to Obama and enlist them as functionaries in the party. And it was fascinating to see how, basically they would just flow in, center around Obama. Obama would say a couple of things, and then they would just spin off and then be processed by the team.
That's the
And
way it's
that
done.
team, yeah, and that's why he won. And
So you're saying the team was tight and in sync with him, so that then
totally,
it was like a
totally.
little.
And if you, unfortunately, if you follow Susie Wild, who's the chief of staff in the Republican Party, she has a lot of that same smarts. So the question is
She may be the smartest one in the group.
I think so. So the Democrats have failed for a long time by not picking who the opponent was, and going with the idea that it's going to be an individual. Clinton was the best Republican running. That's how he won.
Deanna is saying, what about Wes Moore and what about Maryland Governor?
Wes Moore is an empty suit, in my opinion.
I think they want to anoint this Tallarico guy. If he for however wins that Texas Senate seat, look out.
Even if he doesn't, these people are not running for the Senate.
Right, but if he wins, it's better if he wins than if he loses.
It'd be great, but what's that other guy's name? Emo
Phillips.
Emo. What the hell is that?
What's the guy's name?
Emo Phillips.
I don't know. President
Well,
Emo doesn't have a
second
really
name,
good
well,
ring.
I
It's
So.
the guy in Texas. It's the guy in Texas who is the next
Oh,
pope.
he's
The next pope.
Oh,
That's
you're
right.
talking about the dude that lost like several times?
yes,
That guy, yeah.
Oh, he's done. He ain't going.
Is that- you mean is he the
What
the
is that
sheriff?
guy's name?
He's
Yeah.
got like
Yeah,
oh.
Billy Bob.
Beto. Beto. It was
Beto O'Rourke.
Beto
Oh, my
Thank
O'Rourke.
you.
He's done. No, he can't run for anything else.
Oh,
No.
it's too bad. I
No,
liked
and
him
there are
for
a bunch
minute.
of
He was-
Beto O'Rourke's out there.
He was
What,
good
what
for a
about
minute.
what about Kennedy's grandson, the Schlossberger guy?
Forget it.
Nah.
Everyone's
not
getting
running.
excited. Everyone's getting excited about that Texas guy.
Yeah, Tallarico. If he
Tallarico.
wins, if he somehow wins, look out. That might be
Right.
the guy.
If he's successful at gathering their strength in a body of politics other than the presidential campaign, he's going to be very successful.
Oh, I'm almost upset that I brought it up because we're talking about a leader and like it's the only thing that has to fall into place. What someone said before, I don't know which one of us said it, wasn't me, is that the Democrats actually have to do something to prove that we are worthy of the
They have to.
the office again.
They have to win something.
Well,
Actually win. They have to get votes and win.
well, of course.
I'm not so sure they can.
But you've got to.
I'll tell you the thing that's bothering me the most about everything that we're talking about, and it's absolutely bothering me a tremendous amount. I'm losing sleep over it. It's the stock market.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that.
I am losing sleep over it, and I'm but again, I think it's it's cyclical, and it'll eventually come back.
Well, we wouldn't be where it is if we're almost coming up to a full year since what was it, Liberation Day?
Oh God.
You can mark your calendar. Everything that has happened bad has happened since he got up there and started talking about the tariff stuff.
And we're not talking about tariffs anymore, and we're
No.
not talking about Epstein very much anymore, and
We're actually
surprise.
we're actually
Start war.
we're actually talking about interest rates actually going up instead of down now.
To me, there's two trends. There's GDP shrinking, which is what the stock market's preoccupied with, as a function of two things: the rise of AI, making all the money move to a different place, but also shrink the pie, and plus the deglobalization, which inevitably, with tariffs and everything, shrinks the pie as well. So they're shrinking the pie. And then the second trend is this whole conversation around abundance and the growth of GDP driven by AI. It feels to me the Democrats are perfectly positioned to be the guys that ask the question, where does this new wealth end up? If there's going to be new wealth, where does it end up? So instead of banning data centers, they should be talking about an era of wealth to be distributed to change life.
Yeah, this is the logic that we have to get to a place where nobody has a job and everybody gets a certain amount of money every week.
It isn't nobody has a job. I mean,
it definitely is.
Economics is and tech together are somewhat inevitable. There's not much you can do to change trends.
That's the logic of I'm going to say something so complicated that you don't understand it.
Well, no, I'm saying policy won't change direction any more than King Canute could change the tide. But what you can do is leverage direction.
King Canute.
I thought he was Mo. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Mo Phillips.
So what you can do is you can leverage direction for outcomes, and that involves.
So, I apologize for interrupting you, but not really. So let's go run some around the table. 2 minutes. You don't have 2 minutes. You can't get this globalization or deglobalization argument into 2 minutes. So you'll have to talk about something else. We'll start with Keith.
Manchester United are now third in the Premier League and are going to qualify for the Champions League next year.
Whoa!
Is that a team of some kind?
Exactly. And so my sports weekend, suddenly my three boys who had deserted Manchester United are now interested in watching again. So I have these
The only reason that we're doing a rare Saturday gang is because there's nothing on, because sports evaporates until the baseball season.
Well,
it
in your
also
mind, do
evaporates
you have tickets for Manchester United? Do you have seats that you're not using?
No, it wouldn't be worth it because I live here. I'd never be in those
as opposed to the $2,000 a month you're spending on AI stuff.
You could get a seat at Manchester United for that much for a whole year.
Yes, you could. Yeah.
Okay. So that was your 2 minutes. Frank, your turn.
So quickly, Dark Winds, The Madison for All Mankind, Marshall's Sugar, Your Friends and Neighbors, and Project Hail Mary. Thank you.
Okay. Good. Tina, your turn. You're going to lose your time.
Well, I thought it would be interesting to talk about that Val Kilmer thing, but sorry, we didn't really do that.
No, we did.
Kind of, but I'm still sort of wondering if that may be a bit of the future for, even just like doing what's it called when you have to go back after you like edited your film and then
it's not the future, it's now.
The future is now.
Yeah, and it's not even that interesting.
Where you have to go reshoot something. Reshoots. I don't know.
It's called reshooting, as well.
Oh, reshooting. I mean, even maybe like using AI to do that, because I mean that's expensive too. Going back and setting up your scenes and I don't know.
Somebody's going to have
It
to
just
pay for
seems
it.
to me like you know, the creatives, the actors may be in a little bit of a danger zone as this AI continues. I think.
Oh, they've
Well,
been
you know,
in the danger
feed
zone
the you
since the
feed the
beginning
AI
of
with all
time.
the original. You feed the AI with all the original film content minus people, and then put people into it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's lots of
You
ways to
know,
do it.
okay, I'm not afraid of AI. I'm bored by it.
Oh, and I did want to say one more thing.
Good.
Um, I was so happy when Christy Nome got the. Thank goodness we don't have to look at that.
Yeah, but we have
We're not in
Bondi Babe.
London.
We have Bondi Babe still, and
Who?
Yeah.
not Bondi, but
Bandai.
that's
Pam.
me.
Oh, Pam Bondi.
Bondi, Pam Bondi. I call her Bondi Babe because that's a beach in Australia.
Oh, really? Jeez.
And evidently, you're free to make all sorts of, politically incorrect comments about it too.
Yeah. That's
It
right.
might be a
Yeah, I
beach in
am. I
Australia,
am.
but it's a
You
attorney
know what?
general in the U.S. So that
Yeah,
ain't
I
gonna
know. How
work.
about
Oh,
that?
well,
How
I'm
about that
sorry.
guy? How about that guy running the FBI and the hacking that was done on his face on
John Bon
his
Jovi.
on no his name's Emo on his social media done by the Iranian hackers. Oh my God! Come on.
Good old
Okay.
Cash.
Have I forgotten anybody?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, Brent.
Okay, Brent.
I just want to respond a little to Keith about the data center stuff. I don't think the issue is the data center itself, but the issue is whenever these technologies come into certain geographical areas, the people who live in those areas, they don't benefit. So if there's a way to bring them in where the folks that live there actually do see benefits, I don't think anybody would have any issue. But it's usually a plan that's forced down their throat. They have no input in, and they have to live with the consequences. And that usually means the rich get richer and the poor get worser. So
And it usually means that they're taking down trees and
yeah,
you
the whole
know
quality of life is
and putting up some data center where there's very few employees, right? Is that what you're talking about, Brent?
overall and people their energy costs will go up because that thing is going to be drawing so much energy, and usually there are no additional jobs.
Right.
So it's like, okay,
It's a
what
lose-lose for the
why should they be
community.
happy about when a data center proposition comes to town, because they don't see any real benefit from it.
It seems like the only one people that are benefiting are the real estate people
The people who already have money, so they end up with more money, and the people there don't get any.
Brent, I'd add a perspective to that. I mean, I think on the margin, that's right. But factor in two things. One is this thing that was signed that said no electricity price rises for normal people, that it'll all be paid for by the data center people. But then more important than
Yeah,
that,
the Soros team is going to take care of it.
and more important than that is every one of those poor neighborhoods now have kids in school with AI that can level them up. And ultimately education is the leveler. And I honestly believe that AI is going to make every smart kid, no matter their background, the equal of every other smart kid, no matter their background. And so you're going to get the ability to move up economic classes due to skills that were denied people before.
I don't
Do you
know.
think it'll make stupid kids smarter?
No. But poor kids aren't stupid. Poor kids
Well,
are
I get that. I get that. I'm
I
just.
guess what I'm saying though is these people that have the money to put a plan together without any input from the locals, who do you think is going to benefit the most?
well, they have to get planning permission and all that stuff. So I
Yeah,
guess
that's where lobbying money comes in. I'm talking about the people that actually
Yeah,
live.
I disagree with both of you. I think that
What a shock.
there was something on the foreshot that said something interesting the other day. which is, basically the pandemic changed the world.
Nobody's arguing that.
And well, so far, I haven't said anything yet. Um, and basically, the thesis of it was that the notion of what is local has completely changed, and that there's no way that the impact of being able to be anywhere and do anything is not going to be competitive with anybody in a big city or Silicon Valley, or, you talked about Hollywood. Where is Hollywood? It sure as hell isn't in Hollywood.
Wow.
All the jobs are gone. All the states are basically giving tax credits out to pull all the investment
Not
local.
All of Europe is too, by the way.
That's right. And when you start to see this kind of action that I referred to about that they're running out of drones for Zelensky because we need them to prosecute the war, then the kind of impact of, well, wait a minute, I'm broke, I don't have a job, and it's getting more expensive to not be able to survive every week is going to have an impact on the electorate. And I honestly think that's true.
That sounds like a good place to stop.
Better be, because
And I thought
we're
it
running
was
out of power.
clever how Brent got us talking again instead of on our wind up. Very, very good. Uh-huh.
Good job.
Okay. Thanks to everybody who showed up, and especially Deanne Viane.
What? Say that again.
What? Sound like emu again.
Emo Phillips.
Yeah, thanks, Deanne. Let's go out for drinks. Yay.
Okay. We'll see you again next time, because it's likely there will be a next time.
Cool.
Wow.
How about that?
Okay.
Such positivity.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chow mein.
Come on, Keith, give me a hand.
Adios, amigos. I can do this,
Yes,
Steve.
yeah.
I'll do
That's
this.
good. That's
Keith's off in
that's
the
like
future there. Okay, it'll be all right.
Rocky.
Okay,
Rocky.
I'm gonna stop the stream.
I was
See you guys.
replying to a tweet, and so I was distracted.
I'm
Live stream.
gonna
Good
have to
show.
check out this app you've created there, Keith. That sounds
Yeah.
really interesting.